The United States Supreme Court just wrapped a term that will shape American life for years to come. From free speech to healthcare and discrimination, the 9 justices have set new legal boundaries that will affect millions. This term's cases tackled some of the most urgent debates in our society. At the center was a unanimous free speech ruling the government cannot silence voices it dislikes. These decisions are not just legal theory, they will reshape government power and touch daily life. As we break down these historic rulings, we'll see why they matter for the future of freedom. Understanding these decisions is key to appreciating the Supreme Court's vital role in our democracy. The Supreme Court's protection of free speech and equality is rooted in the First and 14th Amendments. The First Amendment shields speech, press, and assembly, ensuring open debate, even for unpopular ideas. The 14th Amendment guarantees equal protection, forming the basis for landmark decisions from desegregation to workplace fairness. This term, the court revisited these principles in cases about employment discrimination and public services. The justices faced how these rights apply in a polarized, rapidly changing society. Cases like NRA versus Vullo and Ames versus Ohio build on a long legacy, setting new precedents for liberty. Each decision links back to the nation's founding ideals. The court's rulings. This term reaffirmed that defending liberty is a task for every generation. This Supreme Court term delivered a series of major decisions that will echo across the nation for years to come. The justices tackled some of the most pressing and controversial issues facing American society, drawing intense public attention and debate. Each ruling not only affects the parties involved, but also sets important precedents that will shape future laws and policies. In NRA versus Vullo, the court unanimously defended the principle of free speech, making it clear that government officials cannot use their power to pressure private companies into punishing organizations simply because of their viewpoints. This decision reinforces the First Amendment and sends a strong message about the limits of government influence over private entities, especially when it comes to controversial or unpopular opinions. In Ames versus Ohio, the justices established a single unified standard for all employment discrimination claims. This move ensures that every worker, regardless of their background, is protected equally under the law. By clarifying the legal framework, the court has made it easier for individuals to seek justice and for employers to understand their responsibilities, promoting fairness in workplaces nationwide. The court also addressed a range of issues affecting families and children, including parental rights in education, the allocation of Medicaid funding, and the legality of gender-affirming care for minors. These cases reflect the ongoing debates about the role of government in personal and family decisions. In Mahmoud versus Taylor, the justices ruled that parents must be notified and given the option to opt out of certain school curricula. This decision strengthens parental involvement in education and gives families more control over what their children are taught in public schools. Medina versus Planned Parenthood granted states greater authority over how Medicaid funds are distributed, which could significantly impact access to healthcare services, especially for low-income families and vulnerable populations. The ruling has sparked debate over the balance between state power and federal oversight in healthcare. In United States versus Scrimeti, the court upheld a Tennessee law banning gender-affirming care for minors, a decision that has intensified national conversations about medical rights, state authority, and the well-being of transgender youth. Collectively, these rulings are reshaping the legal landscape on free speech, healthcare, and parental rights. They highlight the court's willingness to address complex social issues and redefine the boundaries of government intervention. The court's current philosophy is clear. It is actively redefining the boundaries between government authority and individual rights, often shifting the balance in ways that will have lasting effects on American law and daily life. Understanding these landmark decisions is crucial for every American. They not only influence our legal system, but also shape the values and freedoms that define our society. Staying informed helps us engage in meaningful civic dialogue and participate in the democratic process. In the landmark case of NRA versus Vullo, the Supreme Court delivered a unanimous 9-0 decision, holding that New York officials may have crossed a constitutional line by pressuring banks and insurance companies to sever their relationships with the National Rifle Association. This case centered on whether government officials can use their influence to indirectly silence or punish organizations whose views they oppose, raising critical questions about the boundaries of free speech and government authority in America. Justice Sonia Sotomayor, writing for the court, emphasized a core principle: the government cannot use its power to suppress disfavored speech or to coerce private actors into punishing viewpoints the government dislikes. Her opinion reinforced that the First Amendment stands as a bulwark against such abuses of power, protecting even controversial or unpopular organizations from official retaliation. The origins of the case trace back to the aftermath of the tragic Parkland school shooting, when a New York state official issued warnings to financial institutions about the potential risks of doing business with the NRA. This move sparked a national debate about whether government pressure on private companies, especially in the wake of public tragedies, can cross the line into unconstitutional coercion. The Supreme Court found that if such pressure is proven, it amounts to unconstitutional coercion, not merely persuasion. The distinction is crucial. While officials can advocate and express their own views, they cannot threaten or intimidate private entities into cutting ties with groups based on their political beliefs. This decision draws a bright, unmistakable line. Government officials are free to voice their opinions, but they cannot wield their official authority to punish or chill speech they disagree with. The ruling sends a clear message that the government's role is to protect, not police, the marketplace of ideas. The unanimous ruling is significant because it protects all organizations, regardless of their political stance, from government retaliation. Whether liberal, conservative, or otherwise, every group is entitled to the same constitutional safeguards against official overreach. In an era often marked by deep political divisions, the fact that all 9 justices agreed on this principle underscores the fundamental and unifying importance of free expression in American democracy. The decision reaffirms that the right to speak freely is not a partisan issue, but a foundational value. With this ruling, the First Amendment shield is stronger than ever, ensuring that the government cannot silence voices it dislikes. The decision stands as a powerful reminder that free speech remains at the heart of American liberty. In Ames v. Ohio, the Supreme Court unanimously set a single standard for all employment discrimination claims. Previously, some courts made white plaintiffs meet a higher burden of proof. The court eliminated this, ruling that Title VII protects everyone equally. Now, any employee, regardless of race, must meet the same 4-part test to bring a discrimination case. This simplifies the law and ensures fairness in the workplace. The decision reinforces that civil rights laws are meant to create a level playing field. The 9-0 consensus sends a clear message: equal justice applies to all. By removing confusing requirements, the court streamlined discrimination lawsuits. The courthouse doors are now equally open to anyone with a credible claim. The court's rulings this term have dramatically changed the landscape for families, healthcare providers, and the rights of parents across the country. These decisions are not just legal technicalities, they touch the everyday lives of millions of Americans, shaping how families interact with schools, doctors, and government institutions. In Mahmoud v. Taylor, the Supreme Court ruled that parents must be notified about, and given the option to opt out of, school lessons that include LGBTQ+ topics. This decision was seen by some as a victory for parental rights, allowing families to have more say in their children's education. However, others worry it could limit exposure to diverse perspectives and create new challenges for teachers and students. In another major case, Medina v. Planned Parenthood, the court limited individuals' ability to sue states over Medicaid funding decisions. This gives states more control over which healthcare providers, such as Planned Parenthood, can receive public funds, and could have far-reaching effects on access to care. As a result, low-income patients in some states may find it harder to access essential healthcare services, especially reproductive and preventive care. The ruling could deepen existing disparities in healthcare access, particularly in rural and underserved communities. In United States v. Skermeti, the court upheld a Tennessee law banning gender-affirming care for minors. The majority found that the law was a regulation based on age, not sex, and emphasized the state's authority to set standards for medical treatment of children. This decision has sparked intense debate nationwide, with supporters arguing it protects children, while critics say it denies necessary care to vulnerable youth. The justices stated that states have a legitimate interest in regulating medical care for children, especially when it comes to new or controversial treatments. This gives lawmakers significant power to shape healthcare policy at the state level. Collectively, these decisions give states more authority over education, healthcare, and social policy, shifting power away from federal oversight and toward local governments. This means that the rules affecting families and children may now vary widely from state to state. The new legal frameworks established by these rulings will be tested in legislatures and courts across the nation. Advocates on all sides are preparing for ongoing legal battles and policy debates as states interpret and implement these decisions. For many Americans, these rulings will have direct personal consequences, affecting how they access healthcare, what their children learn in school, and the choices available to their families. The impact will be felt in homes, classrooms, and clinics across the country. The court's willingness to tackle such divisive and deeply personal issues is reshaping daily life in America, setting the stage for further debate and change in the years ahead. Supreme Court decisions have real consequences for everyone. The NRA versus Vullo ruling protects all advocacy groups from government pressure, ensuring robust public debate. Ames versus Ohio guarantees that workplace discrimination claims are judged by the same standard, promoting fairness for employees and clarity for employers. Mahmoud versus Taylor will require schools to be more transparent with parents about sensitive topics. Medina v. Planned Parenthood could limit healthcare access for low-income Americans in some states. Skrmetti's outcome will affect transgender youth and their families as more states consider similar laws. These rulings shape our rights, our workplaces, and our communities. The court's work in Washington ripples outward, influencing laws and lives across the country. The Constitution's principles are not abstract, they define the society we live in. Legal experts say the Vullo decision is a landmark for free speech, setting a powerful precedent against government censorship. The unanimous ruling gives all groups a legal tool to fight back if targeted for their views. Analysts predict this case will be cited often in future free speech battles. The court's other rulings shift more power to states, reflecting a philosophy of federalism. This means more variation in laws across the country. 50 laboratories of democracy. The term will be remembered for its broad impact and willingness to tackle tough issues. Unanimity in some cases shows consensus on core rights. Divided opinions reveal ongoing national debates. These decisions set the stage for the next generation of constitutional questions. The Supreme Court's rulings are more than headlines. They define our rights and responsibilities as citizens. The Vullo decision is a win for all Americans, defending the universal right to speak without fear of government punishment. The court's rulings on discrimination, education, and healthcare shape the fairness and transparency of our society. Learning about these decisions empowers us to participate in democracy and hold leaders accountable. True commitment to liberty means defending rights for everyone, even those we disagree with. The court reaffirmed that the Constitution protects all speech, not just popular opinions. Protecting our republic requires an informed, engaged public. The strength of our democracy depends on our commitment to liberty and justice for all.